If you ask me if I want to build a wizard's tower, hell yeah, I want to build a wizard's tower.
What do you want, Gandalf Greyhaim? Let me guess. The key of Orthanc? Or perhaps the keys of Barad-dûr itself? Along with the crowns of the Seven Kings and the rods of the Five Wizards?
The 2024 Dungeons Master's Guide has been out for a while, and though it's really not much different than the previous edition, there is one new mechanic that makes an appearance: Bastions. What is a bastion? Very simply, a bastion is a structure of some sort that is under the character's ownership, that provides them with some mechanical benefit. Let's start with how we get a bastion. Generally speaking, a bastion is obtained in the same way a mark of prestige is obtained, typically as a reward for some adventure or service. For instance, the party rescues the princess and the king gives them an abandoned keep for their troubles to use as they see fit. It is recommended that the bastion doesn't become available until the party reaches 5th level, and the bastions are for individual party members. So if the adventure that provides the reward is completed at level 3, then the keep would be under renovations for 2 more levels. Or maybe it's just a plot of land where the keep needs to be built, and conveniently it takes the same amount of time to build as it does to reach level 5. So what are the nuts and bolts of bastions? The meat, if you will. A bastion is made up of facilities of various sizes. A cramped facility is 4 squares big on a map, roomy is 16, and vast is 36. This gives an idea of how much space the facilities take up on the map, and for some, what facilities can be chosen. As for the facilities themselves, there are 2 categories: basic and special. Before that, we should mention that things like closets and doors and windows and corridors are all assumed to be in the bastion for free. In fact, it's encouraged that the players work with the DM to create the map for the bastion itself. Basic facilities are things like dining rooms, kitchens, bedrooms, and courtyards, etc. Our bastion starts with 2 of these, 1 cramped and 1 roomy. You can enlarge existing bastion facilities or add new ones for the cost of time and gold. I'm not really going to get into that because these facilities have no mechanical benefit. They're really just for flavor. With one exception: walls. This is also the only basic facility that isn't free. They cost 250 gold pieces per 5 square feet. And if you encircle your entire bastion with it, they reduce the chance of losing bastion defenders during conflict. More on that later. Special facilities, though, that's where things start to happen. We start with 2 of these special facilities at level 5. We get 2 more at level 9, a 5th at level 13, and a 6th at level 17. To be clear, unlike the basic facilities, you cannot buy more special facilities with gold. They are a function of our bastion and our level. Each special facility is very specific in its abilities and its theme. Some have some sort of prerequisites, a level requirement, accompanying size, cramped, roomy, that sort of thing. If it requires any hirelings, they come along with it. And special abilities and orders can be given. And yes, there are orders that can be given and carried out by the hirelings of the facility. There are 7 types of orders, and they take place during the bastion turn. This is a special type of turn that normally takes place over 7 days. The DM can adjust this time frame based on need and circumstance, but 7 days is what it takes to make things happen. And orders are mostly facility specific. So one facility will have 1 order type that it can use. There is an exception to that. We'll discuss that in a minute. Let's briefly talk about the orders that we can give. Craft has things crafted specific to the facility, and the hirelings of the facility have proficiency in the artisan tools that are appropriate for that facility and for that kind of crafting. Empower lets us buff ourselves or an ally. Harvest lets us obtain specific resources produced by the facility. Recruit lets us gather NPCs that can include defenders to protect the bastion if it's attacked. Research produces important information, and trade is for buying and selling goods. And then there is the Maintain order, which is special. If you use this order, it affects the entire bastion and no other orders can be used for that turn. Remember, we have at least 2, if not more, facilities. Each one can be issued an order in the same turn, but not with Maintain. Maintain is the order that the bastion takes if the character is away and doesn't communicate an order through some means, like the sending spell or something similar. Maintain has the hirelings just maintain their respective facilities. Instead, we roll on the Bastion event table to see what happens. 50% of the time, nothing's going to happen. But we can also be attacked, find some treasure, your hirelings can go missing, or one can turn out to be a criminal. Bunch of things, both good and bad. Let's go through an example to see how all this works. We have a 5th level wizard who just got a swanky new wizard's tower. It will have a cramped bedroom because sleep is for the weak, and a roomy kitchen because late night snacks are awesome. For the special facility, let's start with the arcane study. This requires us to be 5th level and to be able to use an arcane focus. It's roomy, so 16 square size, and we get 1 hireling to boss around. The craft order is what we have available. The facility has the special ability Arcane Study Charm, which lets us, after taking a long rest, gain a charm for 7 days or until it's used, which will cast the Identify spell without a spell slot or material components. As for the craft order, we have 3 options for our facility. First, they can craft an Arcane Focus for free over the course of 7 days. This is interesting because the most expensive Arcane Focus is worth 20 gold, and we can just churn one out 1 week after another. Not a whole lot of money, but it's some, and it costs us nothing. They can also craft a blank book for the cost of 10 gold over the course of 7 days. Not as useful as the previous, but it's there. And when you reach 9th level, we can create a common or uncommon magic item from the Arcana table in the new Dungeons Master Magic Item section. All the magic item crafting rules must be followed, including time and cost, but the hireling is capable of doing the work unless the item to be made can cast a spell, in which case we'll have to be present for the casting, with the hireling assisting. Still, though, all the time for magic crafting can be foisted off on our our hireling. For our other special facility, we'll go with the library because we're nerds.
Nerd!
The only requirement is 5th level, and it's roomy. We get 1 hireling, which I hope comes as a sexy librarian. There's only 1 action to take with this facility, and that is the research for topical lore. This takes 7 days, and the hireling can explore specific topics such as a person of significance, a monster, famous object, so on. They discover 3 accurate facts that we did not know. One thing we haven't mentioned is that we don't need to be present for most of these actions. We just need to give the order and then return to collect the result, whether it be the crafted materials or information, which waits for us until we do. Research is one of those tasks that can be dependent on how the game is run at your table, whether how useful it will be. But if this traditionally would not be all that necessary, this could be a good opportunity for a DM to feed their player details of the plot to point them in the direction that they need to go, or introduce information that they had otherwise previously missed because they decided to kill the barkeep for his outrageous ale prices instead of questioning him like they were supposed to do. But I know that isn't going to be exciting for everyone, so there are other options. Now imagine we have leveled up a bit, to level 9 specifically, and we get a new special facility. And like any good wizard, we'll choose a teleportation circle, which only has a prerequisite to be 9th level. Again, we get 1 hireling, an apprentice of some sort, I assume. The teleportation circle is roomy. Most of these are roomy, by the way. Not all, but most. And the order we can give is recruit, specifically recruit a spellcaster. When the order is given, you roll a die. If it comes up odd, you get nothing. But if it comes up even, someone answers the call. They will stay for 14 days or until they cast a spell for us. And that is what they want to do. They can cast a spell of up to 4th level for us, or up to 8th level if we're level 17. We have to pay for any expensive components, but they will only cast a spell for us specifically, which means we actually need to be present for this, which is a little different from some of the other orders we've seen so far. It is a bit unclear if this counts as a permanent teleportation circle that we can use. Normally the teleportation circle needs to be cast in the same place for a year to make it permanent, and it costs 50 gold every time you cast it, so that's expensive. So it's a bit unclear if we can actually make use of it, or if it's just for recruiting purposes. There are many more special facilities we could talk about, but we don't have all day. In fact, at 9th level, we'd actually have another one to choose from. a theater, a training area, a trophy room, a workshop. There's even a pub, although for some reason you gotta be 9th level for that. Oh, weird. Obviously, there are many more and higher level options, which can be quite a bit more complicated to design, but those are for another day. So here's a question. Can you lose a Bastion? Yes, you can. In one of 3 ways. First, you can just give it up for whatever reason the player decides. Maybe they just don't want to deal with it. Second, if they don't issue an order for a number of consecutive Bastion turns equal to their character level, which is 5 weeks to start with, then the Bastion is abandoned. And finally, and very specifically, if you draw the Ruin card from the deck of many things, the Bastion is just gone. And even better, the player gets to decide what terrible thing happened to it. How fun! We can also combine our Bastions with other party members. So if we want our Wizard's Tower to be part of a greater castle that includes the Fighter's Keep and the Druid Stables, we can do that. Everything functions as normal with the exception of defenders. If the defenders of a Bastion are slain or unavailable during an attack, a different Bastion's defenders can lend their aid. Because if they don't, one of the facilities becomes inoperable while you repair it with another Bastion turn. But what are Bastion defenders, you might ask? Well, this is where things with Bastions get a little messy. Defenders can only be obtained with the special facility barracks, and they're only used during the attack and request for aid events that only happen when you issue the maintain order and only have a combined 12% chance of happening. Which seems niche, since Bastion defenders are referenced several times, and several of the special facilities are focused around them, and the only reason to combine Bastions is also based on them. But it's not going to come up very often, unless the DM forces the issue, of course. I think that about sums it up for the basics of Bastions. Obviously, there are many more details, too many to go over in one video, but this should be good for the short version. I think it looks fun. However, there are some features that seem kind of undercooked, mostly the Bastion defenders, which was surprisingly difficult to find information on until you read through all the special facilities, which is a bit frustrating. If you're willing to use these rules, might you go a little farther? This is Strongholds and Followers, a third-party resource created by MCDM, the brainchild of Matt Colville. It's a much more detailed attempt at creating a base that has mechanically beneficial minions with specific abilities along with specific strongholds by class. There's also a simplified version of their warfare system because certain types of strongholds create military units that you could raise into an army. It's very cool and very thorough, which makes sense. It's an entire book dedicated to it. Highly recommend. If you all want a more in-depth review of that book or its sister book, Kingdoms of Warfare, tell me in the comments below. While you're down there, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, smash that like button. Check out our other videos around here, and I'll see you next time on Roleplay Culture.